entertainment, current events, and Hollywood. Don't miss Creator to Creators, hosted by the filmmaker Meosha Bean, known for the Shudder hit documentary Horror Noir and the acclaimed film Anatomy of an Anti-Hero, Redemption. This show features interviews with filmmakers and creatives from around the globe. Join the fun with guest celebrities and gain valuable insights. Subscribe now and follow Creator to Creators.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators today. Today, we have a special guest.
Will Preston.
Welcome to the show, Will.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely. I'm happy to have you. I really love going to the beginning. I always say the beginning always, it charts our trajectory, the little habits that we pick up along the way, follow us into our adulthood. So tell me a little bit about your childhood. What was that like? And how did you find your way into music?
Yeah, so interesting. Childhood, I grew up in a small town in Virginia, called Bedford, Virginia, located right outside of Roanoke, about 2 hours from Richmond, about 3.5 hours from our nation's capital.
Nice.
Had a great upbringing, wonderful childhood. Music was just something that was just kind of always around. It wasn't that we were an overly musical family, but if I think about, every event, music was such a big part of it. Grew up in the church, and my mother was in the choir, my brother, my sister, and I sang in the youth choir. And so that aspect of music was always there. And then I just loved music in general. I can say overall, I had a happy childhood. Went through school there, went on to college in Northern Virginia, and really it was in college that my true passion for music kind of blossomed. I think, as I said, as a child, I was always very drawn to music and drawn to voices. And my grandmother had a huge record collection that I was always fascinated with. And she had some favorites, like Aretha was her absolute favorite, but she loved Smokey Robinson and Al Green. And, all of those things, I'm sure over the years kind of seeped in and helped me shape, my sound in some way, even if unintentional. But honestly, when I got to college, it was really when and it wasn't that I focused on it. When I got to college, I happened to flip through a periodical. I don't know if you recall, but there were things like Rolling Out and Creative Loafing. They were these weekly little newsletters that used to come out. And I remember looking through one day, and it was a studio there, advertising studio time with these two pretty renowned producers at that time. And I thought, wow, I'm going to check this out and see. I had written some songs, and, I could figure, why not look into it? And I did. And it was a wonderful decision. And I learned so much, not just about me getting in front of the mic to deliver vocals for a song, but just about the studio in general. And I think that really piqued my curiosity, and fast forward to now, but that was the genesis of it.
I love that. I always say, I'm kind of biased. I always say the best voices come from church.
Yeah. Well, you learn so much in church. I mean, I think that the execution of singing in church really transfers to all genres of music. And so I think that church is a wonderful training ground, regardless of the genre of music that you perform in.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely. And I love that that you were always surrounded by music, and the passion just never left. I think it's always very interesting when someone does the thing creatively that they're like, I always say finding your purpose is, for a lot of people, is a big thing, and some people don't know their purpose. So, I mean, obviously you're walking and you're living your purpose, which is a very beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I think that I always say, for me, I can't understand anyone who ever walks around bored, because I'm just, I constantly think that there's just way too much to conquer in life to ever be bored. And I guess I just kind of accepted that this is just my, entrepreneurial spirit in this vein that's within me, and this desire to always, set out on a path and conquer something. And everyone doesn't possess that. But I think that the only way to truly get fulfillment out of life is to do something that you love. And if it's not something you love, You got to do what you got to do for the time, but I think that people should always aspire to, what they really love and what they really, really, really desire to do, because that's going to not only bring you happiness, but that's how you translate and transfer that happiness onto others.
Absolutely. So let's get down to your new single, which I think is awesome, Merry-Go-Round.
Thank you.
It
Thank you.
highlights the complexities of love, and I love that it's like it's like pop, but also R&B infused, which is super super awesome. I love that fuse that you did. Um, Tell me what inspired that song, and tell me, do you have any love? You just you seem like, just from looking at you, like a lover, like you're like into love, and that's what you're about.
I'm into love. I'm probably more of a lover than a fighter, right? I'm into romance. I like love. I think that there's always a story to tell. I think that there's happiness out there on the other end of love for everybody. I think that sometimes
Mhm.
we go through a lot of circles and channels before we get there, but I truly do believe that there's happiness there for everyone. Merry-Go-Round kind of came, I often think about ways to tell the stories of love. And I've written many songs about, love that's just, this all-assuming, wonderful, happy place. And when we're all just in this utopian type of existence. But love is multifaceted. And so I wanted to kind of capture a moment that just, and I don't know honestly what prompted the idea. And sometimes I don't know what gives me the inspiration. It's just I start writing because it came to me. But this is really about a love that can really be summed up as toxic in many, many ways, because it's one of those things. It's like, you know that you're not right for each other. You know that you shouldn't be with
Mm,
each other, probably, but there's
yeah,
something that keeps pulling you back together. And it's like
those are
this
the
merry-go-round.
worst.
It's like, here we go, here we go, here we go. And I did an interview recently, and the gentleman asked, but could I look at that another way and think that it's not toxic per se? Maybe it's just that you got to figure out what to do to make it work, because that's the person you're supposed to be with. So I guess that's one
Mm,
take on it as well. And so as a writer, I think that's wonderful, because when I sit down to write and I have one vantage point or one perspective that I'm trying to, impart,
mhm.
someone else can get a different meaning from that. And they'll say this merry-go-round is not necessarily toxic, because I never say in the song that it's a toxic love, but I do say, how can I get over you? Every time I let you go, here you come again, and all those things. But someone could really take that and say, well, maybe this means that you are the one for me, I'm the one for you. Why do
Mm.
we keep running? Let's stand still. Let's figure out what this is, and let's get this toxicity out of the way, and just make this thing work. So it was really just trying to tap into, another side of love that is very, very, very relevant for a lot of people. And I think anybody who's of any age and has experienced love to a certain degree will identify will identify with this song and the lyrics in this song. We've all been on this cycle before. Some get off faster than others, and some stay on forever.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like, and I was reading too, you have 20 years of singing and performing under your belt, which is absolutely incredible when you think about it.
Yeah.
Has there been any songs or anything that are topics that you haven't covered yet in the 20 years? And how do you keep it fresh?
I think I keep fresh just by being true to who I am, and my artistry. I never chase trends, and I think that that could run the risk of not being relevant. But I think I always align myself with people who really love music, people who have their ears to the ground. But in terms of my style and my delivery and my content, I want to always be true to who I am. I've worked with so many different producers over the years, and that keeps me, relevant with the times as it relates to sounds and things of that nature. But I feel like I just have to always be true to who I am as an artist, and my brand is my brand, and my style is my style. And those who appreciate and like me and are fans of my music, I think that they're there because of that, because of me, because I'm authentic, and because I just deliver what I hope people will enjoy. But most importantly, I deliver what inspires me. You speak in terms of things that I haven't written about. The large part of my catalog is about love and love songs and many different aspects of love. I haven't really written much in the vein of political writings, and that's something that I
Mhm.
and I and I have a lot to say about a lot of things. Um, but my positions can be very firm, and sometimes, unwavering and unforgiving, and so it might not always be best for me to. I'll just say it's better for me to keep the peace by not releasing those things, and also I think understanding that just because you can write a certain song doesn't mean you necessarily should. Everything is not your calling, and so I just haven't released political songs, but that's maybe to come.
That's very interesting. You say that, there's certain things that we don't touch. And as creatives, I totally understand what you mean. There's certain topics that, you want to talk about and you feel very
Yeah.
passionate about, but you also feel like there's that part that it's like, oh, if I do talk about it, then will I be looked at differently, especially in this business that we're in? It's a very, you're not supposed to say certain things, especially political. If you believe something completely different, then you're
Yeah.
kind of ostracized in a way.
And the thing about it for me is it's not so much my stance sometimes. It's the idea or notion that we live in this soundbite society where people will pick it apart. And, for the most part, I have discovered that the general public is not good with very doing a lot of research. They take
Right.
what they hear, and I could give a 30-minute set dissertation, a dialogue on my view on something. It could be perfectly logical, it can make perfect sense, and could be something that most people will identify with. But someone somewhere will take out a line, and we know how that goes, and run with it, and then you're branded as something you're not. And so, and I see that so often. Is a lot of times people are just spinning so many wheels trying to play cleanup with something that they didn't even
Mm.
intend. So we live in that type of culture, and also in the world of AI, which I think it's great for many things, but also not great for so many things. So I just think that we have to be a lot more cautious today than we've ever had to be before. And I don't want you to think that I'm so extreme on some of these political things. I'm not. It's
Right.
just that we live in this soundbite society. People want to be fed in 15 seconds and not 15 minutes. And so you just have to be mindful of almost everything you say.
That's so true. It's real. It's so real. Um, so how involved are you when it comes to the process of making your music? Are you in there in the room with the producer? Are you in there like are you kind of involved in all of the sides, even down to the instruments?
Yeah, it really depends. So I've done it all. I've created tracks before. I have
Nice.
written, I write all my songs basically, but I've collaborated with other writers. I've sung other songs. I've been in the studio while the producer is creating a track. I've been behind the board with the engineer. I've done, a good bit of that myself, of the mixing. And the only thing probably that I'm so hands off or removed from is the mastering process, because that's not my niche, and mixing really isn't my best. But I can certainly do that and get us a nice mix. But I work with engineers to do that, who do that specifically. But I'm very hands on. But I would say for the most part, I when I'm collaborating with someone, or someone will present to me an idea, or they might say, I have this hot track that I think would be really great for your vocal. So I always take a listen to that. And if I can, work a melody in there or find the lyrics, sometimes I'm just inspired instantly from the, first four bars or whatever. And I can just hear them and be like, oh, I can definitely write to this. And sometimes it's me just, creating lyrics, coming up with all the lyrics and giving it to someone, say, hey, I don't even have a melody really yet, but tell me if you could hear something in this. So sometimes it's writing a melody and then working with a producer to say, I want this sound,
Hmm.
I want snare here, I want this there, I want bass line like this. It just really all depends on what the inspiration for the song is. I have so many tracks at this point that have been done for me over the years that I can, go down to the studio and pull out and start writing. But every once in a while, you just want something completely fresh and completely new, and you want
Yeah.
to start from scratch, and it's really organic, and that's wonderful too.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I I know a bunch of artists I've seen a lot of interviews. They say, "Yeah, I'm very my manager hates that I'm so anal. I'm always in everyone else's job." And I'm like, "I get it." And like I mean that's
Yeah.
Beyonce. If you look at Beyonce and how her process, she's like super involved in everything,
Oh
which I
yeah.
understand, it's your brand, your brand is your brand and you know what you want. So it's good to be hands-on for sure.
Yeah, and as an independent artist, I mean, I think you can't really have it any other way. I mean, you
Yeah.
have to know what's going on. I mean,
Hmm.
and I've always been an indie artist, and to understand every aspect and every facet of not just the recording process, but of the business in general. And I think that you might find that independent artists are just a bit more astute and a
Yeah.
bit more aware of what goes on in their business as well as what goes on behind the scenes with the music. It's just because it's we should we have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. And I mean, do you feel like it's, as an independent artist, you have the, people like uh Chance the Rapper who said
Mhm.
he's an independent artist, but look at him now. I mean, the guy is made waves as
Absolutely.
an artist. So do you feel like there's with all the AI now and everything that we have, all these tools that we have accessible to us, that could actually push us like having a person to a manager or something like that. Um,
Yeah, I mean, with AI, it's like the sky is the limit, right? You really don't know what the limit is with AI. And
mhm.
it's a lot of things. It's humbling
Right.
because you realize that you're not the smartest man in the room when AI is around.
Right.
It's scary in a sense because you wonder what it could do in a nefarious manner, but you look
Mm,
at the aspect of what it can do to help enhance your career and how it could help you reach others and fine tune things. I mean, there's so much that AI can do, even from the standpoint now. And I haven't done this, and I don't know if I will because I'm sometimes on the fences. Like when new things come out, I'm like, I'll frown upon it, and then I'm realizing, okay, this might be helpful in a sense. But you can actually tell AI that I want a track with Caribbean flair, and these are the lyrics that I want some sense of this to flow in the song, and I want this type of drum, and it will actually produce a track for you, which I just kind of think that's crazy.
mhm.
Um, and I haven't fully embraced that yet because I everything runs through my mind like, copyrights and who gets
Right.
credit and all this stuff. But so maybe one day, I don't know, but we already have the ability to do far more than I believe people even realize we have the ability to do. So you're
Absolutely.
right. AI will probably be able to be a full-fledged behind the scenes computer manager for artists, and the people on the other end will think they're talking to somebody, and it will be so coherent that they'll never have a clue. I mean, that'll save us all a lot of money if that's the
Absolutely.
case.
Oh my goodness.
But
Absolutely.
it's crazy. Like even think about a podcast like yours and what you do. I mean, the voices of these
Yeah, they can
AI
take our
characters,
voices.
they can
Insane, right?
they
That's
can
scary.
create an episode of Creator to Creators and make it sound exactly like you and have whatever guest they want because they have your voice. So it's amazing. It's amazing.
Oh.
I look at it kind of like you remember the whole craze when, what was it, Dolly the Lamb or whatever the lamb was cloned. And so we know we have the ability to clone people now, but we know it's not, or clone things, I should say. I don't know. But it's not ethical to do so. So
Right.
that's kind of where I am with AI and music right now. We can do it, but I don't know if it's ethical to do
Right. I completely understand that.
it.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's the pros and cons for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. I read too that, you launched your clothing line and which is freaking awesome. I love that. Um, do you feel like you've always like kind of been like because I feel like a lot of people, there's a lot of ideas inside of a lot of people, but they just never actually executed,
Yeah.
or have you always been the executor? And what do you think you get that from? Your
I have
parents?
always been the executor of my passions and dreams. Sometimes I sit on them probably longer than I should, or that I,
Mm,
not necessarily that I should, but that I want to in my timing. But I'll tell you what prompted that. My father passed away unexpectedly in
sorry.
January of 24. So it started off a very rough year. But I realized then because to me he was just far too young, and though we all have an expiration date that we don't know what it is, but the human in me just feels like it was too young, too soon. It was unexpected, and I just thought then that I never want to leave not having fulfilled it, or at least gone down the path of striving for something that I've always wanted to do. If it's something from an entrepreneurial perspective that I wanted to pursue, I felt like, I'm going to live because my dad wasn't guaranteed, any extensive amount of time, but he had a great life. He retired. He passed away 2 years into retirement.
Mhm.
But I'm grateful that he at least got to experience the fruits of his labor. And but I always said I just don't want to be the person who looks back over my life and say, I wish I had tried. And I'm going to always dream. I imagine that, when I leave this world, there'll be many things that I hadn't started, but I know for sure that when I leave, I'm going to be in pursuit of something. I think that that's just how I work. I'm just always reaching for something, and I just have this entrepreneurial spirit and mindset about me. And I don't know. I think it's part of how we were raised, and to get the most out of life and to enjoy life, and believe in God and have faith that things are going to work out. You put your best foot forward, and even when the world doesn't always treat you right, you keep going. So I'm never
Yeah.
one of those people who, just gives up and says, the world is against me. I'm going to keep pushing.
I love that. I love that. That's beautiful. I have a fun question that I like to ask everybody on the show,
Yeah.
and there's no wrong answer.
Okay.
The three levels of influence: money, power, and respect. And if you could choose only one of those things, which one would you choose and why?
This might sound strange because I can imagine that few of your guests will probably say this one, but I'm going to say power.
I
And I
love it.
say power simply because I believe now this is with me being in tune with who I am. And I feel that I have a great moral compass. I feel like I could handle certain things, certain levels of power. I believe that with power, you can orchestrate greater good for all mankind. I think that a lot of
Mhm.
times we have people who are in power and they're motivated by greed and avarice, and we don't really get the true fulfillment of what they could impart to the world.
Mm.
And I think that honestly, respect comes with power. Whether people are good people or bad people, they
Right.
get respect when they're powerful. So I think that the power is gonna be there. And I think was money the other?
Yes.
Yeah, so we all love money, but with power and influence, you're going to have money, or you'll at least be able to do quite well in the world. So, and I've always learned as well that money can't be your sole motivator.
Right.
Money can't be the thing that pushes you towards fulfillment. I think
Hmm.
that when you operate in your passion, when you become powerful in your passion, when you embrace who you are and you work at your gift and you craft and you hone that skill, I think that money will come. Money is something that a lot of people think money makes you this all-encompassing happiness and supreme happiness.
Hmm.
But if you had problems before you had money, by way of certain vices and things of that
Right.
nature, you're going to have even more problems when you have money because you have more access. And if you don't have a good moral compass, if you're not rooted, if you're not solid in who you are,
Mm.
um, money is going to lead or can lead to destruction. We see that time and time again.
That's absolutely true. Absolutely. Love that. Great answer too. I think it's the moral thing people always say, it's always respect. And I'm like, come on,
Yeah,
really? Or do
yeah.
you really come on? Are you serious? Are you gonna really
No, and I
choose?
guarantee you, they really want to say power or they want to
Right.
say money.
Exactly. Exactly. So this song, like I said, this is about, the merry-go-round and just like about love. Has there been any situations in your life and of when it comes to love, and how did you get out of that, and how did you heal yourself from situations like that? Like not repeating
Ah,
the same cycle.
yeah, I think when I think back on my own personal life in terms of love, um, I guess I'm like anybody else. You have those that really meant a lot to you, but then one day you find the one that means everything to you.
Oh.
And that's the one that you focus on, and that's the one that you nurture, and that's the relationship that you prime for life. I think, but getting to that point, I think, yeah, I'm just like anybody else. I had situations where probably I loved someone too long or too hard or wished a little more from them than I could get, or they possibly from me than they could get from me. But it's all the cycle of love, and it teaches us and it grooms us for the ultimate love. So I believe that we all experience these emotions, and I'm not someone who is, I don't dwell. So
That's good.
yeah, I'm not someone who dwells for an overly long period of time. It's always on to something else because I also realize that, like I said, there's always going to be someone out there for you, and you have to just
Absolutely.
have faith in that. And the more time you spend crying over the one that you think got away or is slipping away, just go on living and doing what you
Love
do, and don't focus necessarily on the person and when they're coming, but they'll
that.
come, and
I love
circumstances will fall into place.
Absolutely. That's a great outlook on that. That's very, very good. It's very healthy. Um, I'd love that you are going to be on tour soon, right? I think it's like something that you're work for, you're releasing a new album before your birthday in April, it says,
Yeah,
which is
so
awesome.
yeah, yeah, so that's the goal. So really trying to put together some dates for the spring and summer, but what
Okay.
the primary goal is right now is to get the project finished. So I'm only about 3 or 4 songs away from being complete, which I'm very, very
Nice.
glad to be on the home stretch, and to have that knocked out. And my birthday is in April, so my
April
my
when?
goal is 24th. It's
Hey,
yeah.
24th. All
So
right.
the zodiac sign is Taurus.
I
So
know.
I'm a Taurus if that means anything. I don't know.
No, I
People
thought
always,
I gotta go say April, like maybe like 18. They'll say, hey, you're Aries. No, but you're not.
what
You're
what are you?
Aries.
What's
Yeah.
your date?
March 22nd.
Ah, okay. All right. No, I missed you.
Just by a little bit, little bit, little bit. But I love
But
Taurus.
people
You guys are
always
great.
say, that I'm a typical Taurus, whatever that means. But
Yeah, just very grounded, very
yeah,
grounded. It's
yeah,
good. It's
yeah.
good. I love it. I love it. What can people expect on this album? Like, what do we like the feeling? What do you want people to walk away from or expecting from this new album that you're working
Yeah, I want people to know it's going to be something for everybody. It's
on?
definitely
Okay.
going to be relatable experiences. People often they have given me this moniker as a storyteller, really, and it's really the way I write. It's really the only way that I've ever written truly. But people seem to find that my songs unravel this story as if I sit down to start out this mystery, and I can tell you that when I sit down to write, I often don't know how the song will end. So I'm often fascinated by that myself because you kind of never know where your mind is going to take you. But I think it's going to have a lot of stories that people can relate to, a lot of things in love, that people can say, you know what, I am so glad to hear a song like this. I'm so glad to hear a song that captures this sentiment that I feel, and it's not the usual delivery of a love song. It's something that people don't always talk about, So you'll have many of those. You'll have also the great love songs that I kind of have come to be known for as well. So it's going to run the gamut of, multifaceted love. Maybe that'll be the title. I don't even have the title of the project yet, but
I love
but
it.
something, and then sonically, I just think that it's going to be a good mix. Like, the merry-go-round is like this pop R&B vibe, and I think that a lot of my music is R&B and it's soulful. But they have a lot of pop undertones. I have some music that's going to be on this one with like Afrobeat
Oh, nice.
underneath as well. So I am excited about that because it was the first time I recorded to Afrobeat rhythms, and so that was a very exciting thing.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm just excited, to deliver it, and I always I don't ever put myself in a box because I don't know what box to put me in. All I know is that I write, I sing, and um, I leave it for the people to decide where they want to place me because I feel like I could probably sing anything. If I think if you sing, you can probably sing anything and you can write for any genre, but I allow the listener to place me in whatever they want to place me in. As long as you place me somewhere in your playlist, it's fine with me. You put me in there with your neo soul crew or your R&B crew or your pop crew or inspirational on a certain day, depending on the song, just whatever it is. But I just want to give people something that is relatable, something obviously that they enjoy hearing, the melodies, and just knowing that I'm going to give them the best of me in that moment.
I love that. That's beautiful. I love that. What advice would you give to up and coming artists out there that are trying to get into the music world?
Yeah, I would say that we're always, all of us are always up and coming. So don't think that you've ever arrived. Don't put your sights on the end. You have to enjoy the journey. When you mentioned earlier 20 years, and I thought about this, and people have been reminding me of this all year and next year, of course, as well. Now we're in 2025. It's and it's I look back and I think, how in the world was that 20 years ago? But I have enjoyed the journey every step of the way. I remember recording that project. I remember flying up to Connecticut and recording with Funky Boy, who was the producer, and
Nice.
flying down to Florida and doing some stuff there as well. I mean, and it just really does not seem like it's been 20 years. And but again, I think that the advice that I would give everyone is that you have to enjoy the journey. My path is not your path, nor
Hmm.
has anyone else's path been my path. You can look at people as inspirations, but and I study music, so I study people, I should say, in their
Mm.
musical journey, and no two people have ever had the same journey. So you can give all the advice you want about how to do and how, but in reality, everybody's journey is so uniquely theirs.
Hmm.
Um, that the biggest thing is just to keep doing what you're doing, stay true to yourself. There's a formula in terms of understanding the business and things like that, but in terms of your artistry, you just have to be true to who you are and stay the course and don't give up and enjoy every small victory. I remember getting my very first article written. Seemed like the biggest thing in the world to me. I don't even know where that article is now on the web, but I do remember this group, soultracks.com, who did a very nice comprehensive article when my project first came out in 2005. And to this day, I still have a wonderful relationship with them, and they're just great advocates of R&B music. And but you build a lot of connections along the way. Never discard anybody, regardless of how small you feel they are, because you never know where anyone is on this whole spectrum. And even beyond that, it just pays to be nice to people, whether you feel
Absolutely.
that they're helping you ultimately or not. You just, if you're good, you're good. You just be good to people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a beautiful thing. Just be good to people.
Yeah.
100%. Because it's funny. One of my mentors would tell me, he says, you never know who's going to be the boss
You
tomorrow.
never know. You never know. People who work for you could turn out to be the boss.
Right. You're like, wait, what just happened? Yeah, so it
Yeah,
pays to be good, nice people
that's
for
right.
sure. I love that. I love that. What if you could, have a coffee date with any music artist, living or dead, who would
Ooh,
it be and why?
and I can only do one.
Only one. I know it's tough. This is
Well, it's going to be easy. But I have about three. But if you make me only choose one, it's going to be Whitney.
Oh, I love
And
that.
it's going to be Whitney because I feel that despite, some of the things she dealt with in life, I think she was chosen. And I
Mm,
think that I don't even know if she understood that she was special in that way.
mm,
Like, I think I know that she knew she could sing and had the voice. But I just wondered from a spiritual perspective, did she feel, and this would be something I would love to ask her, did she recognize that she was supernatural, really? Her
mm.
voice, anyway, and that it was a gift that no one else possessed. I just really wonder how much she understood about the gift that she has, or is that something that she just kind of, almost took for granted as many of us do with many things. But I just think that she was exceptional. I don't know if I wonder if she knew that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a very interesting. Yeah, she was definitely one of a kind. She just,
Yeah.
well, there will never be another Whitney,
Yeah.
for sure.
It's a tragic ending too. But I also feel that, she was another that, we could say was gone too soon. But when your mission is done, your mission is done. And
Mm,
so,
interesting. Yeah. What would you ask her on the coffee date if you could?
I would ask her, she would be someone who I would probably listen to regarding pressures of the industry. And,
Mm,
ultimately, many will say she succumbed to the pressure, but there was a long while that she didn't. I mean, given the best that she had for all those years, how did she do that? How did she balance family? How did she balance life? How did it weigh on her spirituality? How did it
mhm,
weigh? And, could she trust people? When you're that big, was there anybody you could
mm.
trust? Could you even trust family at times? There was just so much pressure on her. So I'd want to know, just who she was as just a normal person. If we could just strip back everything, was she grateful for the life she was given? Was she She'd rather be in obscurity, looking back, would she have wanted all of the fame?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. That's a great question. Like
Yeah.
that's a question that I think I'm still trying to wonder, even been being in this industry. I mean, 20 years, I totally understand the things that you've probably seen with my eyes wide shut stuff too, but
Yeah.
that's the business. Um,
It's the business. It's crazy.
it is pretty crazy. Where can people find you on social media to follow everything you have going on?
Yeah, so I'm everywhere on the socials. So Instagram, I am extremely active on. So that's the Will Preston. I'm on TikTok, and that's the Will Preston. So YEPTHEWILLPRESTON. My music is everywhere. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, all of those. Every social media, I'm even on Snapchat. Don't do much on there, but I'm there. You can find me all over the place. Google me, and I do come up, and my music is there. A lot of articles there about me and what I'm doing and what I have going on. And I'm just grateful to have, the interest of people. It's exciting, every once in a while I'll do a Google check just to see if they have stuff right or to see what they're saying.
For
And
sure.
so sometimes things are wrong, but it's overwhelming that when you see that you've reached many corners of the world. It's exciting to know that, someone could be, I reside in the Atlanta metro area. So it's exciting to know that someone is listening to my music in Atlanta and also one of my songs over in Japan and even
I love
possibly
it.
Germany at the same time. So, it's just exciting to read what people have written about you and to see how your music has landed,
Yeah.
all over the world, which is nothing that I ever dreamed of way back in those early days. I mean, you just never know who's going to hear you. And so that's
Yeah.
just exciting. And I often wonder, well, what are they getting from the song? Because I get these messages and I cannot, so I have to put them through WhatsApp or something to translate. And so I'm thinking, when they're listening to my song, I always wonder what is resonating with them. And maybe it's
Yeah.
the tone. I don't know, but music is universal, even when they can't understand the
Absolutely.
language.
That's so true. It's universal. And, I think everybody gets something from, wherever you are in the moment of your life. That's what's going to speak to
Absolutely.
that individual. So
Yep.
it's a beautiful thing. You're doing amazing. So, yeah, thank you
Thank you.
for sharing your gifts with the world.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, it was a lovely chatting with you. And thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure.
I appreciate it. And I must tell you, you have the most pleasant voice
Oh,
of just
thank you.
about any interview I've done. So it's been wonderful to listen to you. I thought this when I was listening to some of your episodes, and I said, she has the most amazing, the most
Oh,
soothing, and the most perfect voice for podcasting and
thank
everything.
you.
So I wish you much continued success. I see you've done quite a bit of things already. And so I just wish you continued success on your journey.
Thank you so much. And now we're connected. I'm following you now on Instagram, so I'll make sure to tag you in all the things once this is out. So I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Okay.
And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.